guys.
What's up? Look up? Seeing you in like nice quality is so much better than what I'm trying to watch here.
It's just like old times.
Yeah, Ralph's internet was a disaster.
Yeah, dude. God.
And whoo boy, people are giving him hell about it, and they're like, of course, accusing him of everything. And I'm like, I don't care, man. Like, I have no idea. I just know that it was hard to communicate because, yeah, every 2 seconds, the stream would stutter. And that was in like on our end too. So it wasn't just what was being broadcast out. It was like the communication between him and I took like, at the start, there's like a 5 to 10 second lag between exchanges. Later in the show, it picks up and cleaned up a bit, but man, it was.
Yeah. And then I saw Colonel Kurtz was going after him pretty hard, and there was a Twitter exchange, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Oh, God.
I don't know. Like I said, people were like really getting after Ralph. I'm like, I mean, what do you guys care?
Well, at least it's not you. At least it's Ralph. Did Ralph?
Yeah, when he says he wasn't on anything, I don't care. Like, I don't care if he was or wasn't. I don't have any reason to believe or disbelieve him. It literally doesn't matter to me if he was. But some people get really invested in this stuff, and it's like, well, what do you care if he is?
Well, you know how it is. I mean, you know better than anybody else right now that anything. Because so there was this that like discovery thing, maybe I think it was what I was reading, and there's just a random thing from 2009, it's like a CPS case, and all these people speculating that like you did some shit, and I'm like, and I read your response where it's just like a change in like foster status or something. That's all.
No, it's even less than that. So the files from 2009, but we weren't even involved in 2009. Our involvement was in let's see, it would have been, trying to think. Late 2010, mid to late 2010 through 2011 or the beginning of 2011, because we were foster parents for these boys, 2 boys out here. And then Lady Rackets and I were going to, so those 2 boys got respite care from, we were caring for them, but they got respite care because we were going to Canada with my family. And the morning we were supposed to get on a plane, Lady Ragged started bleeding. She was pregnant with our 2nd kid. And so we had to go to the hospital, and the hospital said, you know, you're okay. Everything's going to be fine, but you need to be on bed rest. No heavy lifting, really no lifting, and take it as easy as possible. So then we had to contact the county and be like, sorry, we can't keep fostering these kids, because I was still working at the time. It was before I went to law school and everything. And it's like, I can't be around these for all day for the kids. And Lady Raggets can't like pick them up because she's pregnant and she's bleeding. So she has to take it easy. So we had these 2 boys. It was like, one was 2 or 3 and the other was like 4 or 5, I think. And so we had to let them go to the family that was providing respite. They took over. And then I think those kids went back to their mom a little while later, but we kind of lost track of them after that because, you know, you don't really track them. I don't know, unless you're weird. Yeah. I mean,
unless you're weird.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Some people who have really long-term placements with kids, they'll like, you know, be involved in those kids' lives for a long time. If it's multiple years, we had them for a couple months. And it was really nice. We thought we might have a long-term placement, but ended up having the scare with the pregnancy. And then we never fostered after that. But yeah, so that would have been near the end of the file because my son was born in 2011. And it's like, people made this big deal. It's like, no. Like, that's not our file. The ones that are our files say Ricada in the case name. And in that one, they redacted the case name because it's not us, guys. Like, but yeah, they speculate on everything. But the thing is, I don't think Ralph has any particular conditions that he has to meet for anything. I know people are very concerned about me because I have conditions to meet. And it's like, well, I'm meeting those. Well, there was this thing and people, I don't know, they thought I was lying. It's like, well, you can't convince people you weren't, but I was sick for 20 days. Two shots in a row of 10-day sicknesses. And I dropped down to 148 pounds, man. Like,
Jesus.
I was tiny and I hated it because this is where this is the weight I wanted to be before I hit the gym. was 165, which is where I am now. It's where I got to right before getting sick. And then I got sick for 10 days, started to put the weight back on, got sick 10 days again. And it was like, that was devastating because neither time I couldn't eat at all. Like for 10 straight days. The second time, even a liquid diet was literally painful. I had pain as I swallowed even soup. So
Ew.
it was good times, but people are like, you look terrible. I'm like, I know. Thanks. I wake up every morning and see it. Don't worry.
You weighed less than Zia's tits.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I weighed them the other day. They are in fact 148 pounds. I have a lot of fat.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah. Thank
well
you.
done.
That's what I was going for.
Part of it's frustrating because a lot of it is from a lack of information. So when in the search warrant, like one of the CPS calls was mentioned. Now these calls happen when somebody decides they don't like something. And so they call in, but CPS ignored those calls for us. Now I've been swatted. I've had CPS call, a couple CPS calls. It turns out they don't tell you. You have these couple CPS calls go through and they decided that they weren't worth looking into. But then when they get incorporated into a search warrant, even though they were completely ignored by CPS, but for some reason that's not explained, they decided that this is the basis for a search warrant or part of the basis for a search warrant. People then go, oh, this must be a true thing. And it's like, well, no, that doesn't make it true at all. And I haven't really been able to talk about any of that because, the determinations by CPS are part of the case. So until those come out and, probably when the case is done, I got to kind of just keep quiet about it, but I can't really be mad about people thinking that way either because, well, what are they supposed to do? They don't have the information. So I just sit there and I have to deal with it. Or like, there's a bunch of people like, you gave your child. And it's like, really? Is that like, you really think that's what's going on? Okay. I guess if that's what you need to think, but that's not even alleged. That's not even alleged by Child Protective Services or the state in my case. So people come to these conclusions rather than going, man, this looks really odd. These test results seem strange. And me going, yeah, they're pretty weird, aren't they? They're like, no, they must be 100% accurate and they must mean this other thing. And you're like, I can't really talk about any of this, which kind of fucking sucks. Cause, that's the way these cases go. You don't want to say anything at all because if you say something, they'll try and use it against you in some weird way. And it's like, well, I don't know. I know what didn't happen. I know for a fact what didn't happen. So I kind of know that like a lot of the narrative out there around some of these things is just completely, it's fiction. But again, people have only the information that they get. So you just have to kind of suck it up and deal with it while the government's like staring you down the barrel of the Liberty gun. And you have to just wait and let people have their opinions. It sucks, but that's what you got to do. Look, if people are really confused about a lot of the shit in the case, and like, they're like, holy shit, this is a surprise. You're not alone. They're being a surprise on some of this really outrageous shit. But like the process of going after that stuff and going after that, first of all, the process of getting that information is a whole fucking story. And then the process of going after and trying to correct what has to be erroneous is like, you can't just be like, nuh-uh. Some people are like, well, why don't you just bring clean drug tests to the government and get your kids back? It's like, oh, you think I don't have a litany of clean drug tests to give into the government? They just don't give you your kids back. It doesn't work that way. It'd be amazing if it did, but there's a lot of people that could get clean drug tests and just hand them over, but they wouldn't be clean. Luckily for me, I'm clean. That was easy. So it's like having the clean drug tests is great, but you can't just give them to the government and have them say, oh, sorry. They don't do that. They come up with a story, just like everybody in the chat has a story and they have to fill in the pieces. And your story is not the one that they've come up with. I promise you, no matter who you are in the world, when the government comes up with a story about you, whatever they come up with is not right. Even if yours might be worse, but theirs is incorrect because only you have all the details. Well, you don't just get to tell them, well, let me tell you the details and then you'll change your mind, because they've made up their mind on their story and they don't care what facts you have, because now confirmation bias is at play. That's why the court system exists. I have to wait for the court's timeline to fight against all this shit. And that's why there are rules and processes to do all of this. But, you know, the internet isn't a place to wait for answers. The internet is a place where we go, I want to know now. I want to know, because the story, right? It's salacious. It's exciting. It's insane. And I'm sitting here going, God, I'm hearing the story and it sounds way more interesting than my life. And it's horrifying, but it's like, I know that's not actually the truth, but yeah, I have to tell the story somewhere else.